Welcome to Newsmax TV. We're joined by Representative Steve King of Iowa, here to talk about a series of events in Washington. Welcome to Newsmax, Congressman.
Thanks for having me on.
Lots to talk about today. Confirmation hearings are underway right now of Judge Sonia Sotomayor. What are the long-lasting political implications of these hearings for both the president and both parties, and how do you feel she could shape the court?
She's an activist, and when you think about it in these terms, the Constitution is a guarantee to the people of the United States to protect our individual rights. And if a judge believes that they can amend the Constitution de facto, which is what she apparently believes from reading her opinions, then the Constitution has no value, no guarantee to the American people. All it is a shield for an activist judge to use to hold up and say, oh no, wait a minute, I am in a black robe and you can't second guess me. I'm concerned about that with Justice Sotomayor, although she's a replacement for a liberal justice. And that means that it probably doesn't change the balance in the court, but it changes the longevity of another liberal seat in the court.
It's expected that Judge Sotomayor will cruise through these hearings and easily win confirmation. Published reports show Democrats are betting that an overly zealous assault on Sotomayor by Republican senators could anger Latinos and accelerate the shift of Hispanic voters away from the Republican Party. What do you think?
Well, at first, I don't think there will be an overly zealous approach because most Republicans are afraid to discuss the issues of race or sex, let alone liberal activism. And so I think that they will subtly be bringing out facts, but I think a lot of the American people will miss the points they're making because they're not willing to be as blunt as they need to be. I'll be blunt to this extent. Everybody expected that there would be a female Latino appointed to the court. That should tell us all something, that the first criterion is not their jurisprudence necessarily. She had to meet those first two before then we could evaluate and get the best liberal female Latino judge. That's what we have. And I don't disrespect her intellect or her jurisprudence. I just simply reject the idea that an activist judge should be sitting on the Supreme Court amending the Constitution, in effect, with their decisions.
Identity politics is something you've been very outspoken about. Recently, the House passed a resolution directing the architect of the Capitol to place a marker in Emancipation Hall in the Capitol Visitor Center, acknowledging the role that slave labor played in the construction of the U.S. Capitol. The resolution passed 399 to 1. You were the lone one. Talk to us about why you voted the way you did.
Well, there's a long story to this. It goes back 4 or 5 or more years with the architect of the Capitol seeking to scrub the word God from anything that he could control, including our national motto, "In God We Trust," and including "One Nation Under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. And in order to get that posted in the Visitors Center, it took a whole group of us that co-sponsored a resolution to direct that the words God be placed in appropriate places that depict America's history and the fact of our modern motto, "In God We Trust." There was a deal that had to be made first, and that was that in Emancipation Hall, which was named the Great Hall to honor all the immigrants that came to the United States, that had to be changed to Emancipation Hall because the Congressional Black Caucus objected. I didn't object to that change. I let that one be. But this time, it had to be they used a bargaining chip of requiring that another marker to honor slavery be put up before they would allow a vote on the resolution that puts God back in where it belongs in our history and it belongs in our hearts. And I just will not bargain with that kind of politics. There cannot be allowed a quid pro quo. I'm fine with a marker that acknowledges slavery. In fact, I co-sponsored a resolution that went further than the one I voted against. But I'm not fine with bargaining with the facts of our history and the facts of reality, and that's what they're doing, desecrating our history and holding hostage a piece of legislation in order to get something out of it. It is a disgraceful way to do business in this Congress, and somebody needed to say so.
In response to your vote on the marker, online you've been assailed as everything from a bigot to a racist. How do you respond to your critics?
Well, I don't have to defend myself in any of those charges. There is no basis for it. And hurling those kind of invectives is the lowest form of activity on the part of the other side. They don't have anything they can point to or anything rational that would say such a thing.
Sarah Palin, moving on now. She's come out and outlined her plans for life after governor. Not only does she hope to remain involved in national politics, but she says that she plans to jump into the national scrum, so to speak. Can you resign from an office and effectively do that?
I haven't seen an example of that in modern politics, but also I reserve the opinion of Sarah Palin that She's very smart. She's politically very astute. She's made her political career by not by getting in the lane and flowing with the traffic, but by picking an off-ramp that has taken her directly to her goals. So I would say that she has every capability of an unconventional approach that could emerge with her more effective than she's been in the past. I'm saddened by her resignation as governor, and I think she has a lot to offer this country. But she is almost an icon. That she drives the liberals crazy because she's a successful conservative pro-life, pro-marriage mother, grandmother, and successful conservative politician.
Do you think that she can unify the right, and do you think she's ready to be a leading voice of the GOP?
I think it's going to take some work for her to do that. I don't know about unifying the right at this point. I don't think the right's ready to be unified.
All right. What is your reaction to a possible probe of Bush-era interrogation techniques?
It's a continuation of the public lynching of the Bush administration that's gone on before the Judiciary Committee for a couple of years or more now. As soon as the Democrats took over majority in the House 2.5 years ago, the Judiciary Committee began examining the Bush administration, dragging them before the spotlight, and publicly flogging them for their contributions to this country and for their legal opinions. Because they disagreed with the opinions of the Bush administration, they had to put them through that public flogging. This is a continuation of the same. I think MoveOn.org has got to be behind some of this, and it's time for them to change their name.
All right, let's move on to health care. Some Democrats are rejecting a proposal to start taxing health care benefits provided by employers. At the same time, momentum among Democrats seems to be building for Obama's proposal to limit tax deductions for those earning more than $250,000 a year. What's the best way to pay for health care, in your opinion?
Well, the whole idea of socialized medicine is completely wrong. So I would take that whole concept and throw it over the side and start to build back on the reestablishing the relationship between patients and doctors, between expanding health savings accounts, increasing the deductible contributions to health savings accounts. I would set it up so that there was every incentive for young people to carry health insurance with HSAs so they can grow an HSA, a larger account, to have larger deductibles, larger co-payments, and arrive at retirement with enough money in there to pay for their own Medicare replacement policy and take the difference back in tax-free. That's where I would go with this, and I would limit the medical malpractice that's there as well, and then continue down this path of free enterprise and competition.
All right, Congressman Steve King of Iowa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate it.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.
Homeland Security advises every family to have an emergency radio. It's essential for severe weather, power failures, even terrorism. Now Newsmax is offering you an emergency radio absolutely free. Just pay shipping and get the radio, plus a free trial subscription to Newsmax magazine. Go online to Newsmax.com to check out the details of this great offer.
Get your free emergency radio today. Just call 800-NEWSMAX. Make sure your family is protected. Call now, 800-NEWSMAX.